Hello lovely viewers, welcome to my channel. I am Anna, hope your day is so well. If you like the video, don't forget to subscribe to the channel. Hometowns is an integral episode in The Bachelor, but for one suitor, it did not go to plan. Grant Ellis met only 3 families. As in the episode, Dena revealed that Ellis will only meet her friends. Sadly for Lepenko and Ellis, her family did not express interest in meeting Ellis as her pastor father did not approve of Ellis dating 25 other women. But as Lepenko revealed to Parade, there is more to it. Lepenko, Juliana, Zoe McGrady, and Lishagar all advanced to hometowns, with Lepenko returning to Chicago, Pasquarosa and Ellis reuniting in Newton, McGrady returning to New York, and Gar introducing Ellis to her Mormon family in Afton. Despite her father refusing to meet Ellis, she revealed to Parade that her father was all for it before realizing the show's format. She also admits that her family missing out on hometowns was the focal point of the episode. "My dad was actually for it," she revealed. He thought that it was an interesting experiment. It intrigued him. But he later claimed that he didn't know that there was an engagement at the end. He was like, how could a guy go from dating 25 girls in such a short period of time and make that type of commitment at the end of this? It just didn't sit well with him, and also he wasn't actually familiar with the dynamics of the show, she continued. He didn't realize that there's a camera the whole time. After the Hometowns episode, Lepenko did not receive a rose and just misses out on Fantasy Suites Week. Elsewhere in the conversation with Parade, Lepenko admits that she did not prepare her family enough for Ellis' visit. She also noted that it was hard to tell her huge family what The Bachelor entailed because she comes from a big family and that her father's role in the church impacted his decision to step away from the show. In his mind, he's like, I'm this figure in the church, and it's important that he keeps a certain example for other families, she stated. So he thought the show was something it wasn't, and that's my fault for not explaining it. She also revealed that she might have glossed over the engagement part. Lepenko also revealed that her mother did not want to be on TV as she did not want to expose herself in that way. As for her father, she stated that her father was worried about meeting Ellis so soon as she just left for the show and would potentially get engaged in 2 weeks, so meeting Ellis was a no-go. However, some members of her family were more supportive of her participating on The Bachelor. Lepenko did reveal that she ultimately decided on her family, opting out of the Hometowns episode, but she also has some regrets. I should have went back and really stressed and advocated for my family to be there and talk to them and try to get them to show up for me and not fight about it, she shared. Ultimately, I made the decision to not have them come because I didn't want the fighting. And me having to convince them, hey, I'm going to get engaged to this guy in 2 weeks when I couldn't convince myself at that point. And I also didn't want to do that to them when they were at odds with one another. Despite Lepenko's family's last-minute decision to opt out of Hometowns Week, Ellis tells The Wrap that Lepenko's elimination was not due to hometowns, as not everyone has a perfect family. Instead, he shares why he gave the final rose to McGrady, despite not having a one-on-one date. As they participated in a mock bridal shoot, he stated that he saw sides of Zoe in our hometowns that really gave me reassurance that I did make the right decision, as she has opened up. When speaking to Parade, Lepenko shared that she did not think that she opened up quite as quickly as I could have, and also avoided talking about her family's absence during hometowns. I wish that I would have given him more space to feel like he could talk to me about it and said, this is really important, and the potential to get engaged in 2 weeks, so how could I not meet your family? The Bachelor Season 29 contestant Dena and leading man Grant Ellis hit it off during premiere night. But does he propose to her in the end? Grant, a now 31-year-old day trader who's originally from Newark, New Jersey, but now lives in Houston, Texas, has 25 women from whom to choose his future wife. When he was a contestant on Jen Tran's Bachelorette season, Grant declared that his mission in life was to be a husband and a father. During the Bachelor Season 29 premiere, when Dena, a 31-year-old attorney from Chicago, Illinois, first emerged from the limousine, she told Grant that one of the things that she'd been told her entire life is that she has beautiful hands. She said that now that he'd seen her hands, she wanted him to know that she's a size 6. Grant laughed as they hugged. During their one-on-one time, Grant told Dena that he felt like she had a calming presence. Dena laughed that that was the first time that she ever got that. However, Grant's older sister, Taylor, then interrupted them. Will Dena and Grant continue their love connection and get engaged? In her Bachelor Season 29 premiere night package, Dena revealed that her parents lived in Romania up until they were in their 20s. They then moved to Chicago and had 11 kids. Dena shared that her family is a little bit more traditional, and no one in her family has done anything like The Bachelor. She explained that there's a very specific way that they expect her to be, but she's always been different and done things her way. Dena also said that she's a civil litigation defense attorney who works at a large firm. As a female attorney, she thinks that people underestimate her all the time because of the way she looks and the fact that she's young and a girl. However, Dena insisted that it doesn't mean that they're smarter or better than her, because she'd still beat them in the end. She's a strong and confident woman. According to Reality Steve, Dena and Grant don't get engaged at the end of The Bachelor Season 29, but instead she's eliminated after her hometown date. On his website, Reality Steve revealed that during week 4, Dena had a one-on-one date with Grant in Madrid, Spain. They went to a shop where people write love notes, and they're supposed to come true. Grant also played soccer in the street with young children. Dena later made it to Grant's final 4 women, along with Juliana Pasquarosa, Lisha Gar, and Zoe McGrady. In an Instagram post, Reality Steve revealed that Dena's hometown date was filmed on October 17, 2024 in Illinois. In another Instagram post, Reality Steve shared that Grant said goodbye to Dena after his hometown dates, leaving Juliana, Lisha, and Zoe as his final 3 women. Their overnight fantasy suite dates were in the Dominican Republic. After that, Grant eliminated Zoe, leaving Lisha and Juliana as his final 2 women. Reality Steve also revealed on Instagram that Grant is engaged to Juliana, which means that he proposed to her in the Dominican Republic, where the final rose ceremony was filmed. Lisha was Grant's runner-up. Dena is an amazing woman with an impressive career and a sweet and kind personality. It's disappointing to hear that she didn't get engaged to Grant in the end, but it just wasn't meant to be. However, it's wonderful to hear that Grant found love with Juliana. The Bachelor Season 29 is nearing its finale, but former contestants like Dena Lepanku continue to be in the spotlight, so what happened to her after she left the show? Grant's season was highly anticipated, as he was announced early, before applications even opened, meaning the contestants had a genuine interest in him. However, the season has fallen short of expectations, as some of Grant's decisions don't align with his words. This included sending home top contestants like Alex Godin and Dena while keeping Zoe McGrady, leaving viewers to question his choices. Dena and Grant's connection burned bright from the start. He was captivated by her appearance and intelligence, which deepened their bond. However, after The Bachelor Season 29's Hometowns episode, Dena seemed to fall out of Grant's favor and was unexpectedly sent home, shocking audiences. Although her journey has ended, she's since spoken out about her time on the show and continues to be in the spotlight post-show. Viewers first met the 32-year-old defense attorney in a sparkling dress and radiant smile, instantly captivating Grant. As the season continued, Dena's confidence, intelligence, and emotional maturity stood out, especially during their one-on-one date in Madrid, Spain. The couple played soccer with local kids, danced, and even wrote down similar wishes about having children. However, at dinner, Dena and Grant's connection strengthened. She opened up to Grant about being perceived as an ice queen, showing him a vulnerable side of her. This led to Grant trusting her intuition, especially when it came to other contestants, such as Carolina Sofia. Their relationship took a turn when Grant visited Chicago to meet Dena's family, but she regrettably informed him they wouldn't be attending. Her family was uncomfortable with the show's concept and refused to appear. Grant was disappointed and confessed that family was important to him, as he only grew up with his sister. He said it was a make-or-break deal for him. Although Dena introduced him to her friends, their meeting wasn't enough to save her. As much as her friends vouched for her family, it didn't change Grant's decision, and Dena was sent home without a rose. Like many reality shows, the drama was inevitable, and this season, Carolina received the villain edit, consistently clashing with other contestants. Despite winning the performance challenge and securing a one-on-one date, she frequently complained about her minimal time with Grant, frustrating those who hadn't even received a one-on-one yet. When contestants confronted her about her actions, including interrupting others' time with Grant and her makeout session after the challenge, she responded rudely, isolating herself. At first, Dena defended Carolina, but that quickly changed within the next week. Dena grew frustrated at Carolina for playing the victim and playing the damsel in distress, which drew more attention from Grant. She confronted Carolina about her attitude, which led to a heated argument between the two. Unable to tolerate it any longer, Dena subtly warned Grant about Carolina's behavior. Grant took notice and eventually sent Carolina home. However, the drama didn't end there. After the show, Dena posted a TikTok at Dynalopenku captioned, "When you defend the one person nobody else would, just to get played the next week," implying she regretted backing Carolina. Carolina clapped back with her own TikTok at It's Girlina Sofia, captioned, "Seeing someone use this sound as if I don't have screenshots of our conversation as evidence," hinting at exposing their messages. Dena responded later with another TikTok, claiming she was teasing episode 5, but wasn't surprised by Carolina's response. The Bachelor Season 29 contestant Dena Lepanka's parents refused to appear on the show during her hometown date with Grant Ellis, and now she explains the full reason why. At the beginning of her hometown date, she informed Grant that her parents had opted out of the hometown date at the last minute, and he'd be meeting her friends instead. Dena reassured Grant that her parents' decision had nothing to do with him, and it was because her dad is a pastor and very involved with his church, so her parents didn't want to participate in the Bachelor Season 29. In an interview with Parade, Dena revealed the full reason her parents, who grew up in Romania, and her 10 siblings, refused to participate in her Bachelor Season 29 hometown date. She explained that her father, who's a Pentecostal minister, initially thought that The Bachelor was a great idea for her. She said, "My dad was actually for it. He thought that it was an interesting experiment. It intrigued him. However, his feelings changed when he found out that the show traditionally ends with an engagement." Dena explained, but he later claimed that he didn't know that there was an engagement at the end and that he'd be filmed the entire time. He was like, "How could a guy go from dating 25 girls in such a short period of time and make that type of commitment at the end of this?" It just didn't sit well with him, and also he wasn't actually familiar with the dynamics of the show. He didn't realize that there's a camera the whole time. Dena, who's not currently a member of her father's church, shared that she blamed herself for not explaining the concept of The Bachelor well enough to her dad. She said, "In his mind, he's like, I'm this figure in the church, and it's important that he keeps a certain example for other families. So he thought the show was something it wasn't, and that's my fault for not explaining it." Dena continued, "I kind of told my dad the basics. It's a guy and he's a great guy and he's got this and that going for him and he's just looking for his person and it's a little bit of an experiment." Dena admitted that she might not have given her father enough details about the engagement. She said, "I might have glossed over the engagement part. I know I told him, but we weren't going into great detail. He was like, 'Oh yeah, that sounds great. You're going to be able to have an adventure and learn a lot about yourself. Hopefully you come home really happy with a man.'" Dena added, "I just didn't prepare them enough." Dena approached her father about the prospect of a hometown visit. However, she claimed that he said, "Hold up. Hold the phone. She just left. What do you mean we have to meet Grant? She's going to potentially get engaged in 2 weeks." That was a no-go. On the other hand, Dena's mother had a different reason for opting out of the hometown date. Dena shared, "My mom didn't want to be on TV. That was a big one for her. She didn't want to expose herself in that way. She's a mother of 11 kids. She went through a lot in life and she's like, I don't need to be put through one more thing." For her, this would be the biggest hurdle. It's so exposing for yourself and your family, and she was not happy about it. However, Dena's mom was on board with one aspect of The Bachelor, which was the engagement. Dena explained, "She wants me married though, so that part," she was like, "Listen, if you find your man, more power to you." Dena also implied that some of her family members were more excited about her Bachelor journey than others, which led to some disagreements among them. Dena added that, in hindsight, she wished that she'd fought harder for her family to participate in her Bachelor hometown date. She said, "I should have went back and really stressed and advocated for my family to be there and talk to them and try to get them to show up for me and not fight about it. Ultimately, I made the decision to not have them come because I didn't want the fighting." Dena also revealed that even she wasn't sure if she was going to be ready to get engaged to Grant at the end of The Bachelor, so she didn't think that she could convince her family. She said, "And me having to convince them, hey, I'm going to get engaged to this guy in 2 weeks when I couldn't convince myself at that point. And I also didn't want to do that to them when they were at odds with one another." Although Dena's parents' refusal to appear on The Bachelor ultimately led to Grant saying goodbye to her, their concerns were understandable. It's often very hard for the families to accept that their daughter is one of 4 women who could possibly get engaged to the lead in just a few weeks. While it's what the contestants signed up for, their families might not be completely on board with it. The hometown date would have been even more awkward and uncomfortable if Dena's parents had participated and been completely against everything. It's surprising that Dena's parents didn't fully understand what being a Bachelor contestant entails until she made it to hometowns, but their reactions further exposed just how absurd the premise of the show really is. The fact that Dena's father was all for her going on the show at first, but then changed his mind when he realized that there was an engagement at the end shines a light on how problematic the proposal is. In addition, Dena's mother's unwillingness to appear on camera highlights how exposed the contestants and their families really are. What's sad is that the Bachelor producers didn't bend the rules to allow Dena's family to meet Grant privately. While it's unclear if they would have been open to it, if her mother's main concern was being on television, then the show could have and should have accommodated her. Instead, the producers tried to force Dena and her family into the same mold as everyone else, which ended in disaster for her and Grant. After watching Grant's hometown dates, I feel it was clear that he had stronger connections with Juliana Pasquarosa, Lisha Gar, and Zoe McGrady, so he probably would have eliminated Dena anyway. In addition, Dena didn't seem sure about him either, based on her comments. However, I think that her family's refusal to participate in the hometown date sealed her fate, although Grant seems to be struggling as the Bachelor. We're wrapping up here for today, but the excitement of trending gossip doesn't stop here. We'll be back with new surprises very soon. So stay tuned and don't forget to subscribe.